Well, this is one of my favorite shooting games on the PC, other than like some of the old DOS games, like maybe Doom, Wolfenstein 3D. As far as like the modern, 3D hardware kind of era, Max Payne is just, I had such fun playing this game back in the day. And anyways, Max Payne is like a third-person shooter, but it's really fast, action-paced. It plays like a first-person shooter. There's not really a lot of jumping or kind of anything like that you would kind of expect in a third-person kind of game. It's basically just shoot. Lots of fast action, lots of fast-paced shooting. And anyways, this game came out in 2001 for the PC. Originally came out for the PC. It was ported to the PS2 and Xbox a year later.
All units, emergency. Officer in danger, Acer Plaza, repeat, Acer Plaza, all units.
They were all dead. The final gunshot was an exclamation mark to everything that had led to this point. I released my finger from the trigger, and then it was over. To make any kind of sense of it, I need to go back 3 years. Back to the night the pain started. Michelle? Honey, anybody home? I didn't like the way the show started. They'd given me the best seat in the house. Front row center.
So anyways, the game was one of the first games to use Hardware T&L. Now, Hardware T&L is a technology that came out with, I believe, DirectX 8 and the GeForce video cards. The very first GeForce card was the GeForce 256. That was the very first NVIDIA GeForce card. That came out in like, say 1999. And it introduced this new technology card called Hardware T&L, or Hardware Transform and Lighting. And basically the way that the polygons move themselves and the way that they light themselves, the lighting. Before Hardware T&L, all that work was done by the CPU. When the GeForce cards came out with Hardware T&L and DirectX 8, they had the ability for the actual video card, for the GPU, the processor on the video card, to take over all that work from the CPU. Once again, more and more hardware being pushed onto the GPUs, and it was an amazing technology, and everyone was really psyched about that. But there was no games that used it, and it almost seemed like a whole year passed before Max Payne came out in 2001. It was over a year before any games used Hardware T&L, and this Max Payne game was one of the very first Hardware T&L games, and it did run really good back in the day. I mean, this game, obviously, 2001, it was a really good-looking game for the time. But you didn't need like a supercomputer to run it at the time either. I mean, I think I had like a GeForce 2 MX, which was like the base kind of stripped down budget GeForce 2 card at the time.
I'd have to look for him.
And I had a Celeron, actually, if you can believe that. I can't believe I owned a Celeron, but I actually at one point owned a Celeron 533. I used to call it a celery stick. It's basically it's about as useful as it was. That was like the first computer that I upgraded from like a 486. So I went from like a 486. It was like one of the very last 486s made. So it was like it was above 80 megahertz, and I was running like Windows 98 on that. I went from a 486 to a Celeron 533 with this cheapo GeForce 2 MX card, and it was getting to the point where there was a lot of games coming out that shitty-ass system couldn't run very well. And Max Payne, despite looking as good as all the other up-and-coming games, it seemed to run fine on a lot of these lower-end systems. So I have to say it was definitely an efficient engine for the time. And maybe that Hardware T&L that was actually really helping there. You know, the video card had that in it, so it was taking less work off that Celeron. But anyways, the game, it came out after The Matrix, and after everyone saw The Matrix with that kind of bullet time, slowed down, rotating around the guys as they're getting shot, and seeing the bullets kind of flying through the air. This game kind of took that art style that they called bullet time and brought it into the video game world. And this was kind of, I guess, the first shooting game, 3D shooting game anyways, to do that. And once in a while the game will slow down. You can slow down the game, and you can actually see the bullets flying through the air in slow motion. And it looks rather cool. All the cutscenes are done in like a graphic novel style, and there's a lot of narration, like first-person narration, and it's really good voiceover. The game has really good sound effects, and the voiceovers are really well done. The art style of all the graphic novels and the storytelling was really well done. It was definitely up there at the top of the way a game's kind of production value was for a shooting game for the time. And it did lead to a sequel, Max Payne 2, which was a pretty good game as well. It wasn't as groundbreaking as Max Payne when Max Payne came out, because Max Payne was just this game, the graphics and the engine, Hardware T&L, and everything was really groundbreaking for the time. Bullet time was like, a big thing. It seems stupid now, but it was. Max Payne 2 is just kind of an improvement on Max Payne. It's still a good game. I guess there's a Max Payne 3 either out or coming out now. I just kind of stumbled across that while reading up on Max Payne. And apparently they're making a movie, which is actually why I did this review. Like I said, I loved this game back in the day, and I beat it back in the day. It was one of the rare kind of modern games that I've really got into and went through and beat. And I was just reading up, and apparently they're making a Max Payne movie, and what's that guy's name? Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is going to play Max Payne, so I don't know. I haven't really looked too much into it. I usually don't look too much into movies. When I hear movies are coming out that I'm going to want to see, I'm not one of those guys that goes on the internet and reads all the reviews and has to find everything out about the movie. I just kind of chillax, and then when the movie comes out, if I want to see it, I'm going to see it. But I kind of find it ruins the movies sometimes if you just, read up about them, every little thing about the movie before you go see it. So anyways, that just kind of, seeing some news recently about the Max Payne movie, just kind of made me realize I should go back and look at Max Payne the game. And, it's 7 years old now. But it doesn't look too dated. I mean, the graphics still, they hold up. I mean, yeah, they're simple, but anyways, so that's Max Payne. I'm sure most of you have seen this game. Like I said, it was ported to the PS2 and the Xbox, and it was even ported to the Mac, actually, which, there's not a lot of games on Mac, so, that's kind of cool if you had a Mac. Mind you, it wasn't for a few years later, from the PC version, but it's kind of cool. So anyways, I guess that's it, and I am out of here.